Hello, everyone. Good evening, good day, good morning, depending on wherever you may be. And welcome to our second episode of our Dreamiverse Deep Dive. Our mission is still the same as last time. We'll be trying to explore the Dreamiverse's hidden treasures, and we've chosen some of those hidden treasures for you today. I am once again schreppybroepke, or Schreppy for short, and I once again have Kamian here with me.
Yeah, hello from my side too. I'm so happy to be doing this episode with some really nice gems, I think, we picked, and looking forward to playing them.
Yes, and welcome to everyone who's already in chat. Hey Gizmo, hey Marshall's account, welcome. Like I said in chat, let us know your thoughts. And Marshall, it's quite okay for you to send us a dream. We'll be checking out everything in due time. Please don't be disappointed. Like last time, please don't be disappointed if we're not checking it out right away. We've already chosen our program for today, but we'll be happy to look it over and maybe feature it in a future episode. So please, in any case, feel free to send your content our way. And hi, Egelgo, welcome. I would be happy if this seemed interesting to you, and we'll be trying our best to keep it interesting. So, with that out of the way, we have chosen some hidden treasures for you, and let's just take a look. Let's get down to brass tacks and let's dive in.
So, and again, we come to the really nice collection you did for this format. And as we can see here, is an updated version of the first collection you did. And maybe you just want to give us a quick walkthrough before we start.
Of course, yeah. So this collection will be kind of the backbone of our series. This will always be there to accompany our streams. So I've updated it for tonight's stream, and I'll be saving and publishing the updated version after the stream has concluded. So this collection hopefully will be growing all the time, and we'll keep adding fun, awesome stuff to it. What you can see there on the left is the stuff we checked out last episode. God's Lie by Vector Slinger, a creation very near and dear to us. Scale and all the other awesome stuff created by Vector Slinger. Please feel free to check that out as well. It remains just as good as it was a fortnight ago. For today, we have chosen a new subject, and we'll go island hopping. And what that means is we'll be looking at two creations, very cool creations, very nice creations that both have islands as their central subject and their central environments. And these two creations actually have a lot in common. They are both older creations, both released back in 2020. They've both been made with children in mind. So both creators actually created these games for their children or for children in their environment. Even so, they are still really cool for adults as well. These are stressful times, and as you will see, both of these worlds we have chosen for you today are just wonderful, colorful, peaceful worlds to explore, to get a look at. And when preparing this stream for today, both Kamian and me were blown away by how well these two creations have managed to hold up. So we'll be diving right into them in a few seconds. Let us just say beforehand that these are great. You should definitely check them out, and you should definitely check out the creators. Both of them don't have that many creations. In fact, for our second creator for today, Konsolenquaeler, he only has this one game on his Dreams resume. The other creator, the one we'll be starting with, SgtHamster, has a couple of creations, and all of them actually have been made with their children in mind. So we'll be checking out the first one today, and one that didn't make as big a splash as it should have in the Dreamiverse, and this one is called The Islands of Adventure. Mm-hmm. And Egil, regarding your question in stream, yes, of course, yes. Actually, this stream is very much given to the idea of exploring community content, but giving it more time and trying to find some creations that have slipped through the cracks, so to speak. So creations that didn't make a big splash, creations that deserve more attention and deserve more time, and not just name checking 50 creations in 60 minutes, but trying to give more time to the single creations and to hopefully give them the attention they deserve. Yeah, so let's take a look.
So let's hop right into the Islands of Adventure.
So what do we have here? The Islands of Adventure, a simple, passive coin and object collection adventure. Lily Fox has been shipwrecked on a tropical island. Guide her through multiple levels, collecting coins and finding items she needs to help her journey back home to her family. Approximately 1 hour.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is the first thing we'd like to highlight here. So it's approximately 1 hour. I think you can spend even more time in there. I think the first time I played it, it took me about 1.5 hours even to find everything the world had in store. And this is particularly impressive because, as you have said earlier, this is a game that basically was first released almost 3 years ago now. So in the very first days of Dreams, and here's someone who basically started creating in Dreams and came up with such a game that really, I think, pushed the boundaries of what was possible in Dreams at the time to a really nice extent. And seeing that a creation like that has, in that case, only, we have to say, 160 summed up, and hasn't really been noticed in a wider sense, despite following creations even receiving an MMPIC, I think it's something that we really want to amend. And we hope to really show what is so great about this creation. And maybe we can basically invite some of you guys watching right now to also check this game out.
Right, definitely. And if we are not now checking this out, always keep in mind that this is almost 3 years old at this point. Yeah. So I think you will marvel along with us at how well this has managed to keep up.
Okay, let's get into it. So maybe before we start the game, let's look at the About section. I always like doing that because if creators do something like that, it gives a nice context, I think. And you already hinted at this. The creator here says, I built this game to play and share with my young children. It's simple, passive, and mainly about exploration and object collecting. This is my first game. I've tried to sculpt or create as much as I can myself, where possible or sensible. I've gone from level 0 to 80 working on this game alone. I hope you enjoy playing it as much as I have enjoyed building it. And I think this is the program here, right? So this is basically the first attempt of someone in Dreams building a game, and the fact that we are hyping it up now, but I think it really deserves the hype. It ended up being such a nice and really completed gaming experience to a certain extent is really commendable and so nice to see.
And I mean, obviously, it's also completely brilliant that somebody would have the toolkit at their disposal to create something like this for their children, right? I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. And for those of you who may be watching who do have their own children or nephews or nieces, we'll heartily recommend this game to them. But as I hope you'll be seeing in a moment, this is also very cool if you don't have any children in your environment. So this is really just a nicely realized, fully realized little world to explore. So that's what we'll do.
Yeah, the color palette is one comment in chat right now, is so calming and relaxing, definitely.
Yes, but keep in mind how calming and relaxing it seems now. You have seen nothing yet. Like the color palette will go through a bit of an evolution later on. Let's leave it at that for now.
Mm-hmm. It's really nice that this kind of shipwrecking backstory is visualized in this way, right?
Yes, the calm music does it little favors, but yeah, it's really cool, and I think it's such a small, effective scene to really set the scene for what we'll be experiencing now during the game. Right now, there's been a shipwreck. now we come to in this island landscape. And we get a very cool first impression of the opening area here.
Mm-hmm. And the crab we have just seen, for example, is one of the assets you can also use that was created by the creator, by SgtHamster of this game. And it's one of the assets that's also remixable. It's really nice.
And this is us, Lily Fox.
Yeah.
I do think it looks like a tweaked puppet to me, right? Like there are these there's that one Fox character that you get with the Ancient Times package that we've all probably used when making our first attempts in Dreams. But I think it's lovely how SgtHamster has made a few tweaks to the formula, changing the color of the cape. So really doing the best of both worlds, taking an asset that was already there, but then tweaking it and making it their own. And as we'll be seeing, there are all these little touches that really sell the character as more than just a ready-made asset that they used.
And one thing this game really excels at, I think, is this kind of world building. So we start here at this beach, being stranded, and I think it's so effective in the way this is visualized, the world is built here. We have this overview, and we already see some coins that are shining right there, and it's like a little teaser, a kind of foreshadowing of what's to come. We want to explore this archipelago, right?
Gamer mode activated.
Right, and at the same time, it's so calming and so nice. So you really feel that this is a joy to explore, and can really imagine that if this was done for the children of the creator, it's so nice to basically see how they might explore this world that was built for them. And
Egelgo in the chat fully agreed. Like the foamy waves and the way the water looks, it's still impressive, even in a more modern Dreams scene. Like I think the water and the way the water has been built and created really still manages to hold up.
And this is only the start. So if you're already impressed by this first beach here, I mean, I haven't even started walking. I just wanted to give us some time to soak in the atmosphere here. And it's so effective with so small details here, but that are placed really in a nice way to give this kind of feeling of a beach at which we are stranded. But let's get started. Let's see where this path is leading us. And we find a little bottle here, a message in a bottle. And this is a Dr. J. Silverstone talking to us, and he says, "If you have found this note, then you will need my help. My name is Dr. Silverstone. My ship was wrecked here many years ago. It seems these islands capture passing ships. I don't know why. To escape these islands, you will need an audacious ship. Luckily for you, I know of such a vessel. I have worked tirelessly to ready her. But some essentials still need to be found, and I am becoming old and weak. I have been stuck here on these islands for too long, and I am so very tired. I have engineered the ship to work mostly by herself, but first you must find 3 essential items: a compass, a ship's wheel, and a map of the ocean." So again, so effective, basically establishing the backstory and what you need to do. So we are looking as a kind of a 3-part MacGuffin for 3 different parts that seem to be distributed across this island, these islands here. And I'm already very much looking forward to finding them. Maybe I can disclose, I've played this game for the first time like 2.5 years ago, I think. And then I did a really, really quick let's say, refresh of that in preparation for today. But for me too, it's like developing or really, really finding and exploring this anew today. So it's really nice. And again, we have marveled at the beach, and I think it's really nice when you come into this first cave. We already see that this must be a really connected and huge world. We are basically foreshadowed towards an old mine that seems to be here, but that we can't access right now. Seems to be locked with a silver padlock. And the other path leads us to a dock.
Also, let me just put this out there now. I've completed this 3 times, and during none of those 3 playthroughs have I managed to find that damn silver key. So maybe, Kamian, maybe we can change that today. Maybe I can finally get an idea of where that God's darned silver key may be.
Yeah, I think I have an idea. So, having had this quick introduction here and soaking in all the atmosphere, we now basically are presented with the main mechanic at the first part of the game, which is this ship. We can hop into, and by pressing circle, we can start steering it. And this is, I think, when I first played this game, where I was really blown away. I mean, at this point of time, almost 3 years ago, you were basically used to play dreams that were basically dreams that put some of the ancient times assets together in interesting ways, but not in this kind of fully realized way, right? So this is something you can really drive around in this world. You can, at your own leisure, basically explore this. And the game does a really nice job at really guiding you through this by always having the next point you are supposed to go to in view, but that doesn't keep you from exploring different parts. So I don't have to go to this first island. I could basically just start exploring here, and I really loved that when I first played the game.
Yeah, it's a nice taste of an almost open world, right?
Yeah.
And funny thing, I remember when I first played this, I was still at a stage very early in my personal use of dreams, and I think I just sculpted a rock as my very first asset, and I was feeling like a superstar and thinking, I've made this, I've made a rock, and then I found this, and I thought, well, awesome! It's obviously. Dreams is a tool that one can use to create a complete, fully realized world like this with lots of fun spaces to explore. So far, this is all pretty standard video game fare, right? Like you're moving from island to island, following the trail of coins. But it's really well made. It's really nicely put together. The game really gives you a chance to slowly but surely familiarize you with the mechanics. It's as SgtHamster promised in the about screen. It's slow. It's not threatening, but it's all very lovingly shaped and created. And yeah, so it's a great way of easing you into the exploration mechanics. Oh, hey, Duplex Man in the chat. Hi, welcome.
Right, and what I would like to really stress here is that basically the main mechanic of this game is you can drive the boat and you can jump and run. And there isn't much more to it in regard to core gameplay. There are, of course, these usual buttons we have just seen and so on, but in regard to what the puppet does, that's it. And I think the really great job this game does at working with this kind of small moveset of the character in a way that it never really gets boring. So it really drives home this sense of exploration and really having a look at this nicely built world and all the little details in it. I mean, at no point when I played this the first time, I was missing like being able, for example, to do roll jumps or to climb on rocks or to do some fancy complex movement set stuff. Because this is basically what the game commits to, and it does so in a really nice way.
And this is fateful irony in a way, because Duplex Man is watching this, and I know for a fact that Duplex Man is currently developing one of the most mechanically complex platform engines in Dreams. I saw that being tested on stream several times. So this is the opposite of that. Obviously, this is very simple from a mechanical perspective. But still, the world itself is satisfying enough that it's still fun to explore it. And like the touch with that shark appearing and you jumping on the shark, he even has this growl sound when you jump on him. When you jump on it, that's such a cool little twist.
Yeah. So it only goes to show that basically you can do all kinds of games and dreams, and that is the nice thing about it, right? So there is a place for these kind of really calm, explorative games, but there also is a place for the really complex platforming, puzzle platforming experiences, and it's all under one roof. And it's so nice to see this diversity in games. And every game basically taking this different route, but having the opportunity to doing it in really in a way that is so convincing, like here. This magical endless supply of small boats seems awfully useful. Sadly, they refuse to travel beyond the islands. I've tried many times, but something prevents them from ever escaping. Thankfully, I've prepared a most wonderful vessel that shall soon escape these islands.
And this always makes me smile because it highlights something SgtHamster keeps doing with this. They keep writing around the I can't wrap my tongue around the word. So,
peculiarities.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Thank you. That's such a difficult word for me to pronounce. All right, around the specialties of the gameplay and the idiosyncrasies of the gameplay, because obviously there's an endless supply of boats because you can always use the square button to call a new one, right? And later on we'll also be encountering different situations where something works or doesn't work because that's the way Dreams is structured, or that's the way scenes are built together in Dreams. But they always keep weaving this into the narrative. Like it's always there are always these little explanations for it, and it almost becomes a kind of a meta joke because you read something and you go, yeah, I know that's because you didn't program that, but it's super charming so nice that they actually went through the trouble of explaining it away by the narrative.
It's basically really embracing the limitations and really running with it.
This is a really cool little spot, by the way, because we're getting such a cool look at the next part of the island and the next part of the landscape. This always This always keeps drawing you forward because there's always something cool to see and something promising off in the distance.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, that's why I stopped here. You have these.
Sorry, Cayman. Egelgo just asked whether we are from the Scandinavian country, and that would be cool, but unfortunately we are just Germans. So
very boring Germans.
Yeah, that explains our potato English.
Yeah. So I just wanted to highlight this. It's not only a nice spot, but it's also like a really nice use of this simple mechanic with these messages in a bottle. Again, we have Dr. Silverstone talking to us saying, "Adventurer, I almost forgot. I have crafted 4 new engines for the ship, but they require some fresh crystal gems to power them. I think I can see one up top, this fiery island, but I have been too scared to reach it. Perhaps you will have better luck?" So it's really nice, I think, keeping in mind that this is done really for children to enjoy, to play. It's so great that it really helps you along and gives you this kind of feeling, I'm the explorer and I'm doing something that Dr. Silverstone hasn't been able to achieve. So basically, I'm the first one to walk this path. I think it's really nice that this kind of narrative is also woven into the game.
Also, that lava is done really well.
Yeah. And the environmental effects in general, we'll see this later on, also are so nicely done. And I can only repeat, I mean, this has been done really in the heyday of Dreams. So when we were all basically just finding our feet, and this is a really effective and nice way of doing this kind of environmental effects with lava, but also later on with ice and so on. It's so nicely done. I really enjoy it. So, and now I enjoyed it so much that I fell into the lava. But that's no problem, because as we have heard earlier, we can just get the ship again and drive there again.
And Egelgo in the chat says they've been learning some German. Egelgo, feel free to chuck any German words or phrases or whatever you think is German towards us. I think we'll be good-natured about it.
Yeah. So, having found the first gem, let's maybe start going to the next bigger island there.
Fun fact, by the way, Kamian and I just talked about this before we began the stream. It's totally possible not to there's this nice touch where you put on that little seaman cap sitting in the boat, and that basically it just functions like that because it turns off the character movement, right? So you only control the boat. That being said, if you're stupid, like me, for example, it's totally possible not to press that button and not to put on that little cap, and then you can still control the boat it just gets a little bit harder because you keep controlling the character at the same time. And I thought I had found such an amazing hack for this, keeping to the back part of the boat and being able not to, or having found a position where I didn't fall off. When Camion informed me that no, it was just possible to press a button and then you are safe and you don't control.
So tell me about your hack. So you mean we are in the boat? And you can steer it, but she will basically move from one side to the other, right?
And if you stay close to the rudder, that's an area where you won't be able to walk out of the boat. So you can, if you stay there, you can steer as if normal and won't fall out of the boat. But at this, like I said, you could just do it the way the game intended, and that will work much better, obviously.
So just pressing circle, right? Exactly. So here we go.
And we already have the first bot in chat. I think somebody is trying to offer us promotion, and they are even priced lower than their competitors. Well, that's reassuring to know. Sorry, Nomad Dixter. I think we won't be taking you up on that offer for now. And Egelgo says Wunderball. That is almost German. Egelgo, very nice.
So, while you've been addressing the bot in the chat, I arrived at the first part, or the second actually. We already saw the first padlock near the mines, and here's another one. So this is something the game really uses in a nice way to make you explore a little more, right? So there is a linear path you can take, but there are some branching paths and some opportunities to really explore along the way. And as we'll see later on, you can, with some of the keys, even return to the beginning and then go back to the silver mines, if you find this kind of silver key that we have been talking about, right?
And it's also always a great way of making the world look bigger, right? You don't have you just have this one linear path that you have to follow, but you can explore the environment a bit, even if the solution turns out to be rather linear. It doesn't feel like it, and that is just cool game design that works really well.
So I think there is a waterfall, and one thing I always do is check behind waterfalls, and this might be, if I remember correctly, the answer to your question. Where's the silver key?
No way! I cannot believe that the answer would have been to check behind the waterfall. How many waterfalls have I checked behind in my gaming career? And now this? Oh my god.
All right. So getting up here...
Oh my god, the main objective of today's stream seems to be to make me feel stupid. Oh no, this is incredible. This is incredible.
I have to admit, I had to really search for it a long time too. So one thing I really want to show here on this island is a really nice way how the creator really managed to drive home this kind of vastness of the world, despite actually having only these few islands here. So it's a really nice gimmick that is used here. So we go through this small tunnel, and while we are doing so, something happens to the world, which I really love. So the sound changes, the entire atmosphere changes, and when we come out of the tunnel, basically we really feel like we are on top of this mountain. It's like there are these clouds added, a really nice touch to the environment. We have this fog here, and as we go up, we always have these kind of views where we are basically allowed to wonder at the environments and have a look down, and it really feels like you are at top of this small mountain here. And as I said, it's such a simple trick, right? But it's done so effectively that I really like it a lot. And we find another key here, and we have this nice view down.
And I think you can even rotate the camera if you're in that in that spot. You can even rotate the camera to make it clear that you are basically standing in some kind of moor. There you go.
Yeah, you can even go down here again. So what he did from a design perspective is, of course, I can't jump down here because that would destroy the illusion, right? The illusion that we have the added fog and the added clouds here, which gives this feeling of height. So we need to go back down through this small tunnel, and then basically these things will disappear again, and we are back to the let's say sea level of the archipelago. And I think this is such a nice way of doing it in a really, really effective manner. So using this little cave here to do this switch, right? So now these clouds that we have seen earlier have disappeared, but it's all done in one scene, and it's such a nice touch. I really like that.
Also, the lighting beneath these trees, these palm trees, is also very beautiful.
Yeah. You can, I think, see at some point here, there's where the cloud comes in. But it's hidden in such a nice way, you really have to look for it to find it. And when I first played this, it was so impressive to me that you had this kind of change of mood in one scene by simply guiding a player through this narrow tunnel, and then you come out of it and you really feel like you are at top of a huge mountain, although the mountain actually isn't that big, right? Seeing from here. But this feeling of height is transferred in such a nice way.
Egilgo asked in the chat how they might have made the foliage for the trees, and you know what? I did check out the genealogy for the various scenes, and I think this might actually be much of this might actually have been created by SgtHamster themselves. Like there are not that many community assets after all. You can see some of them, like the dinosaur skull. That's obviously a fairly recognizable community asset from MM's Ancient Times kit, but quite a lot of the assets are actually have been created by SgtHamster themselves, which actually makes this even more impressive.
Mm-hmm. And again, all these little spots where you really can marvel at the environment. It's done in such an effective and nice way.
Yeah, look, it's basically a pretty small island. Or this is also really cool to have this this view. It's basically a fairly small island, but it's so full of interconnected passages and different little nooks and crannies that it ends up feeling pretty huge, actually. And still, this is only a fraction of the game world. This is still just the first area, really.
And again, it's such a nice way of really guiding the player through the world, but not restricting them, right? So we've seen this small tunnel before, and we can already basically guess that we'll be driving through this at some point. And we are guided towards this shipwreck here, but at the same time, we are completely free to maybe even go to another way. I could basically go and try if the key I found earlier fits at this small cave entrance we saw earlier. But I decide to basically just have a look at this shipwreck for now. And this is so nice, I think, a nice balance of having a really nice open explorable world, but at the same time giving guidance, especially with the addressees being younger children. I think this is really important to really make sure that there is a clear path, but at the same time, you are free to explore.
And there's always something interesting to look at. Like you always have something piquing your curiosity, like the shipwreck off in the distance, or like that cave entrance that you have yet to unlock. There's always something calling for you, and some area that you might want to explore next.
Mm. The sound effects are so nicely done. It's such a joy just having a look at this environment and exploring it. It's really great.
Yeah, the shipwreck is especially interesting, I think, because the actual shipwreck itself doesn't really have a lot of function. Like it's basically there to call back to the intro scene, but to have spent so much time on creating something that looks so cool, but that basically only works as a backdrop. That I found that impressive as well.
Mm-hmm. So you really can feel the love that was put into creating this in every nook and cranny of the game. Really pours out of the game at every corner.
And Duplex Man asked what we are doing today. Duplex Man, this is our series. Our series of streams is basically intended to show off creations from the Dreamiverse in more detail, and especially creations we feel deserve more attention and deserve more plays and deserve more people checking them out. So we are choosing creations that we think fit those criteria, and we show them off and go through them and play them in a more detailed way instead of just playing everything for 2 minutes and then moving on. We'll be spending quite a bit of time with the creations we've chosen.
And now we have found the compass. So
the compass.
Our collection grows. We can also check the menu. I didn't do this before. So there also is a menu that basically gives you an overview of what you've already found.
There's also a really good help function, by the way.
Yeah. So we can see we found two keys, the blue key, the silver key, the blue gem, and the compass, but still a lot of stuff to be found. And yeah, let's go on.
The help system reminded me a lot of what you did with RIT Echoes Memories of the Elders Canyon.
To what extent?
Like yours is. I mean, look, you can activate. I'm not quite sure how to do it, but try pressing triangle.
Yeah, let me just get.
Yeah, when you're out of mode.
So here we are. So you can press triangle and then
go. You still need to press something else. I think it's one of the face buttons, maybe. Oh yeah, there.
You can go left and right with the digipad.
Right. With the digipad. And now if you close this, yeah, that's what I meant. Like it has this really cool hint system where it shows you points of interest without giving away what they are. And that reminds me a bit of what you did with the waypoint showing the next important area in RIT.
So that's actually something I didn't find before. So the first time I see this, and it's really nice, yeah.
It's not super reliable. Like there are some moments where it gets a little dodgy, but it's especially during the later parts of the game when you're maybe hunting for the last missing key or for the last missing areas of interest. It's I think a really cool way of showing players at least where to look in a rough approximation. Like it gives you a pretty good idea about which area you'll still need to check out. So if you think all of this so far has been expensive and impressive, I think the next part is going to knock your socks off, frankly.
Yeah. And it's also such a nice pacing. So we have explored these islands, and now basically you start to yearn for maybe a little change of scenery, and that's exactly what the game gives you. So we use the blue key here. By the way, we also found the silver key. So what we could do, I won't do this right now, but the silver key is the key that opens the door to the mines on the other side that we saw at the very beginning of the game. So you could basically now take the boat, go back to the very first beach where we were stranded, and use the key to enter the mines from there. So it's really nice that the game gives you the opportunity to basically approach this next section from two different angles.
Yeah, completely right.
Yeah.
Also keep that in mind, because we might be seeing that silver padlock again.
Yeah. So let's go in here. So we are talking about atmosphere and design, and I think this kind of these cave sections here really do such a nice job and such an effective job working with fog and sound and lighting. It's really, really impressive. And again, this bears repeating, this has been done about 3 years ago when Dreams basically was around for a few months, right?
I mean, yeah, look, this cannot be said enough, because I went back to play through it again for the stream, not being sure whether this was really as impressive as I remembered. And if you think about what about how Dreams was almost 3 years ago. It was great, but no sticker textures, no updates allowing for more stuff in the scene. So all of this was created with the toolkit, mostly how it was very very close to launch, basically. And I think that's insane, frankly, that it still manages to hold up so well.
Yeah, definitely.
Look, one thing, yeah, this is really, look there, this is brilliant. Like this scene really blew me away when I first walked through here.
And I can imagine that the children of SgtHamster basically said something like, if you do the game, there need to be dinosaurs in it.
Yeah, they need to be. What's even cooler than dinosaurs? Skeleton dinosaurs, right? And maybe I was just imagining things when I played through it recently, but I think they even mixed in some subtle groans and snarls into the sound design when you approach those dinosaur skeletons. Like it's suggesting how ferocious and monstrous and dangerous they were while they were still alive.
Mm-hmm. So one thing we also already see here is that the kind of exploration is now switching it up. So while the first part of the game, this pre-exploring the islands was pretty let's say you were up to explore and find your own path, and it was vast and expensive. And now it gets more about finding different paths in labyrinth-like structures here underground in the mines. And it's really nicely done in the way that also this kind of gameplay adds to the experience, that it really mixes the formula up a little bit.
Yeah. That dinosaur skeleton emerging from the lava is also brilliant, by the way. Duplex, since you're asking in chat, you can totally send us stuff and suggest stuff. The one thing, as Egelgo pointed out, the one thing we won't be doing is to check it out during today's stream. Like we'll definitely take a look at it. Knowing your recent demo, I am pretty sure we'll like it, but it might be featured in one of the future episodes, but the contents of each single episode pretty much get decided beforehand. So please don't be disappointed if we stick to the plan for today.
Yeah, so it's not only sticking to the plan because we like sticking to the plan in general, but also because really one of the main things we want to do here...
We are Germans, we always stick to the plan.
Yeah, but I just wanted to highlight that it's also because we really want to give some space to the games we play. So it's really about having a look at them beforehand and thinking about what is nice to show, how can we give it the best showcase we can possibly do, to really give credit to the creators and really give them some of the deserved praise they might not have been getting so far from so many people. And basically the two of us being creators of larger and more complex experience ourselves, this has been something that can be frustrating in Dreams when you're doing these really big games where you really spend a month, even years creating, and then you release it and you see that only very few people are actually playing it and very few people are commenting. And one thing that really always opens my heart is like when I see that people really look at these creations and take some time to really cherish them and celebrate them to a certain extent. And we wanted to give this feeling to some of the creators that we found really deserved it.
Yeah, because look, seeing somebody, you'll know that if you like watching streams on Twitch, seeing somebody interacting live on stream with your game is just the best thing, right? It's the best feeling in the world. Plus, it also teaches you an awful lot. Oh, there's the steering wheel. And so that's what we wanted to provide to creators. And Duplex, I'm very aware of Tanuki Playground, having seen the demo on somebody else's stream. Please feel free to send it my way regardless. Like, send it to me in Dreams. I'll definitely go take a look. And Egelgo, I think we're in the second scene here. Like there was a cleverly made scene change, and here's another scene change. So I think we've been in 3 different scenes. The first one was the starting area the overworld, so to speak, with the different little islands and the area surrounding that. The second was the one with the dinosaur cave, and I think this is now scene number 3, but it's still incredibly impressive how much variety we've already seen.
And we address this kind of breaking the fourth wall kind of things here. This is one of the messages that does this, right? So try as hard as I might, I do not fully understand these doors. Some are locked, some are not. Some remain open, some do not. One thing I do know, doors unlocked with a key remain open seemingly for all time. Now to find those keys.
Yeah.
So this is basically addressing that, of course, if you leave the game here and you go back into it, not all the things you do are basically saved, but the game makes sure that you can reach every point of the game when you re-enter the level. And this leads to some of these experiences when you re-enter it and you might find the door closed that you've previously opened. And it's so nice that this is woven into the lore. Like, they magically close. It's fascinating, but I don't really understand how it works.
Yeah, that's so cute. Like, there's another one later on that goes, it must be some kind of magic at work here because all the gold keeps respawning. And there seems to be an endless supply of magical gold, and it's so cute because, of course, the gold is respawning because the creator didn't use a variable to prevent it from respawning. But that's perfect. Like, it's super cool and super cute to just have it be part of the lore like that and to ride around it in a way.
Yeah. So especially because it isn't just one variable, you would need one save state for each of the coins, and there is some interesting ways to do this. To use a variable to come up with up to, I think, 25 save points and so on. There's some logic that is readily available on the Dreamiverse right now, but as we said, this was done when the tools were just starting to get discovered. And it's so nice to really not really bother too much with these little stuff and really go for the vision you want to bring across.
Yeah.
And it works despite not every save state being really saved here.
I think that's a critically important point that you just raised, Kamian. Like this, apart from anything else, everything else we like about this creation, it's a master class in how a unifying vision will sell you on a game and will move you over any road bumps on the way. Like, are there things that could have been programmed more elegantly? Are there areas that feel a little dodgy every now and then? Yes. And I'm saying that as somebody who's a hell of a dodgy programmer, so take that with a grain of salt. But the underlying vision of the game and the absolute desire to shape a complete world and a fully realized environment totally makes you forget whatever little problems and whatever little mistakes there may be. Like, it really feels like a completely realized little game world, and all of the small, dodgy, faulty parts just fade away because the overall impression is so great.
And at the same time, there are some aspects here that really go all the way in creating this kind of immersive experiences. We saw this kind of dinosaur layer earlier, and this is another experience here which I really want to highlight. So it's something that's completely optional. Some people will just walk past this and not even see it, but you can actually spawn a minecart here. And you have a kind of really minecart adventure ride in the game. And I've seen dreams that basically do just this kind of ride, and they are basically then the entire dream. And this is just side content that you can add here. And I really love this so much. So I fear I kind of bugged it, though.
Can you just push forward?
Yeah.
There
here
you
we go.
And
so you can even change the perspective.
Lily Fox is actually putting on another little hat for this. This is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
so
look,
Indiana Jones vibes, right?
But obviously, if you're making this for your kids, it would be a huge missed opportunity not to include something like this. But you really have to applaud SgtHamster for probably spending 20 extra hours just for making this small segment. Like, this is so cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I have half a mind to go back in there with the VR set and try if this is actually VR compatible.
Yeah. So one thing you can actually do, I won't do this right now on stream, but you can also leave the minecart here. It's not intended, I think, but you can actually leave the minecart and then walk across the rails here. This is basically how I reached this kind of lantern that is hidden in the cavern when I first played it, because I couldn't find the key here, the red key, which is, I think, located at a later part in the game. And I was expecting it to be somewhere around here, and I spent like a quarter of an hour, half an hour looking for that key. And when I didn't find it, I basically used this card, which is just an added gimmick to a certain extent, to reach the lantern down here. It is possible, not recommended, but when I did this, I really thought, oh, this is so nice that you can actually do this. So finding these little things that aren't maybe intended by the creator, but are also possible is really something that's really nice, I think.
And I mean, look, the different biomes just keep racking up. Like we've had an island, we've had lava, we've had a mine, we've had a dinosaur skeleton lair, we've had a temple area, and it just keeps going and going and going. Like you have to admire the sheer will of putting so much into the game. Again, fantastic effects on the lava there.
And we aren't even finished, so we are still on our way.
We're halfway through this at best. So this is just crazy. One thing? Can you just go back for a second, Kamian?
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing I really love is how SgtHamster used spotlights to suggest texture. Like if you look at these rock walls there. That's not actually sculpted texture or sticker texture, because sticker textures didn't exist back then. This is actually a spotlight image projected onto the walls, which used to be a fairly efficient way of creating textures. And you'll see it when you pass by the spotlight like that, that there is actually a spotlight in place there. But still, it works so well for suggesting detail that isn't there. And so it still looks great, even though there are more elegant ways of doing that now. But it's just so well realized. And I didn't address that, but I saw it in chat that you said you try to create something bigger for Christmas. If that didn't get exposure, feel free to also send that our way. Like we can always take a look, and maybe we'll love it as much as we love this. And if nothing else, in us you will always find someone willing to take a look at the creation. Yeah. One caveat: we won't be checking out any Five Nights at Freddy's or Sonic levels. Like we've had our fill of those. So if it's Five Nights at Freddy's or Sonic related, please don't be mad, but we probably won't be engaging with that too deeply. But other than that, feel free to send it our way.
And you were talking about the biomes stacking up, and basically it even has an underground lake, right?
Yes, because of course it does. And that light glowing from the ceiling, that's really stunning as well. That's so really a stunning moment.
Yeah.
Of course it has an underground lake, because why wouldn't it?
Yeah. And it's such a nice touch that you can also use the boat here. So really, it's a throwback to the first part of the game where you were basically using the boat to navigate the islands. And now you can use it in this more confined space to get to this next pier here. It's really a nice way of reminding you of some of the elements you've seen before and really adding to the experience in that way.
This level in particular, with all of these tunnels, really makes me wish we could take a look behind the scenes, because I would really love to know if this was just one huge sculpt where they tunneled into it and creating these different passages, or they actually made a set of freely combinable assets to create it. Like it looks really cut out of whole cloth, but it's like I would love to know the logistics behind it, just to know how they made it. Look, we have a green crystal cave, because what haven't we seen yet? A green crystal cave. So here is one. It's just insane. It's almost spoiling us sweet with all of these different biomes.
And we are on our way to the cold storage. So of course there also is an ice cave, right?
And I love that idea of having a cold storage. Like this is so cool because it really ties into the kind of area you would have in such a mine. And the dripping water is just awesome.
Yeah,
Where
these
where
tiny
the
little
snow and the
details.
ice
Yeah.
have begun to thaw. That's just so cool. Such a cool little detail.
Oh, again, it's such a nicely done environment.
Yes, and it's so dense. Like we have all these little passages curling back in on themselves, and like it gives such a sense of intricacy and of like there's so much to explore even in the smaller sections.
Hmm.
In fact, this is, I think, the area where it's really easiest to get lost in and just keep going around in circles. Like there are these little signs helpfully pointing out the way, but it's still, if there's one area in the game where it's really easy to get lost, it's here.
Hmm. At the same time, I think it's kind of intended because we read this message earlier, or I showed it at least, that basically said there are so many different paths here. It's easy to get lost, but it's worth exploring every one of these little tunnels to really find
Yes.
everything that's to be discovered. And I think, again, I talked earlier about how this game basically handles a very, very restrained moveset, basically just moving and jumping, but it adds to that by really having this kind of fascination of exploring and really you want to really find everything in this game. I think this is something that really speaks to the design of the world.
Yeah, and as for the gold coins, at first I thought, why did they include that, right? Because it serves, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't save any, doesn't have any actual function for the game, and yet it does because it always gives you a very good indicator whether you've been down a passage or not. So
Yeah.
this is pretty cool, and due to the fact that the coins are shiny and glittery, you'll always get an idea of whether you've already been here. So
Yeah, and
so
it
it does
actually is
after
so
all.
so much fun to just collect them. I don't know. I mean,
Yes,
that's basically the psychology behind it, right? So it's kind of
yes.
teasing you and it's rewarding to just get them and being rewarded by simply collecting them. And that's why you
Of course,
jump to some of the more dangerous path of these tunnels here just to collect it, and you don't question it. You just want to have the gold coin.
of course
And
you're right. Of course you're right. There is the basic psychology of gamers being addicted to just collecting shiny stuff.
so
But I think it's neat. It's neat how it also happens to fill a bigger gameplay function.
yeah, certainly. And I just wanted to highlight here, this is the silver lock we have talked about earlier. I didn't want to do this just while you were talking. I just wanted to highlight this. So we can use the silver key here. And now this kind of realization, which was so mind-blowing for me, really is you are back to the very beginning. So it's like,
Right.
this is where we started. I can go back to this beach. So we remember, like, I think 50 minutes ago, we started at this beach. We were marveling at the islands that we have now at least a little bit explored. And we were wondering how we would basically come back here or find the padlock to get to the ancient mines. And now we basically went full circle. And this was so amazing to me to have this kind of world that is then also very, very closed circle in itself to a certain extent. So
And
nice.
this taps into something that I'm really addicted to, which is sense of place. Like
Hmm.
I love it when games do that, when games have that, when they do have establish an interconnected world that makes at least makes sense to the extent that it feels like it's things are connected. You get an idea of where you are in that world and where other things are located, and this is something that's so like all of my absolute favorite games basically have this and try to do this, and it's so impressive to see that done so well here as well. Like you really get an idea of the layout of the place, of the way the areas are interconnected, and how it's not just a collection of levels, but it's a connected world that has logic, that works in a logical way and progresses in a logical way.
Yeah. So, and I think we shouldn't go very much further than here because this is something I don't want to spoil, this path and
Yes.
what's behind this. I think a nice point to really end is here, a view of the islands. So we are on a very high mountain that basically is covered in snow. And if we look down here, we see this kind of these three islands that we started at, right? And I think there even is this message that says, we have come so far, you and I. Look there, far below, where our story began. But fear not, soon escape will be our victory. I know not who you are, but I hope you will remember me once you are so very far from here. So again, sense of place, I think, is so nice that we get this kind of feeling. This is where we came from, and now we are near this mountaintop. And as we said earlier, there still is more to explore. I mean, we showed a huge chunk of the game, but not everything at all. So there are still these deeper mines with the lava that we that we still have to find. I didn't show where it is. We still have to find the red padlock key for. We didn't explore the top of this mountain, and I think there are also some nooks and crannies in the islands that we didn't show. So it's so much worth your time to take a trip to these islands here and explore them for yourself on your own and really marvel at this great achievement that is behind it.
Yeah, definitely. Like there's a lot more to see. And the game has a very satisfying conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the mini character arc of that doctor who kept leaving you these messages also comes to a conclusion if you find it. So the game is, even though we've shown a pretty big part of it, the game is still very much worth your time, and there's a lot more to see. And I think it still stands tall, even 2+ years after its initial release. It still stands tall as a fantastic example of how dreams can be leveraged to create wonderfully realized and explorable, fully explorable worlds. And look, 160 thumbs up. This is just crazy. Especially if you keep in mind that this was released during a time where the player base in Dreams was much bigger than it is today. So even then, it completely flew under the radar, and it shouldn't have, because it's really amazing.
Fully agree with everything you said.
Also, for the sake of completeness, the same creator SgtHamster has created yet more games for their kids. 2 of them are there in the collection. One is actually the big success story for SgtHamster at long last. It's Into the Night, and you can already see, looking at the numbers, it did get an MM pick. Fully deservedly so. It actually has 1,200 and some thumbs up, which is way more successful than the first game. But the strange thing, and it was when it was published, it was fairly well featured on streams. It was featured on the MM stream. That never led to people going back for the first game, which is such a shame. Because while Into the Night is fantastic, and I would definitely recommend you check it out, I think I might like Islands of Adventure even better because it has this wonderful sense of flow. It has this wonderful unity of effect where everything comes together to create a world that feels like one fully realized space. And there's also a third game called Terrance's Jungle Adventure. It's also nice, but I'd personally say it's not as good as the other 2. Still, all of these 3 are definitely worth checking out, and they are even more fantastic potentially if you have children or nieces or nephews to play along with you. But even if you don't, these are lovely games, lovely worlds to explore, lovely spaces to live in, even for adults.
Mm-hmm. We talked a little bit about what else SgtHamster did, and I think if you look at some of the other creations, there's also some smaller stuff in there.
There's a horse jumping game that we didn't show you, but that also happened. And apart from that, it's really mostly challenges. There's the crab, right? But look, the thing they did before are basically MM's own community challenges, or the little challenges you get when you start creating in Dreams. And everything else are these brilliant exploration games.
And what is really nice, I think, to basically close this segment of the stream off is that every one of these games really has its own core identity, right? So the Islands of Adventure is all about this idea of giving you the sense of space, of an archipelago, exploring it, and really calmly finding your way through different paths, through tunnels in the underground and so on. So really this kind of explorative background. Into the Night is similar in some ways, but different in others. In that is, I think, more even story-driven and more like has what in regard to gameplay, a few more things it does. But as you said, for me too, might be the bias that I played Islands of Adventure first. I have a really, really soft spot in my heart for this game, and I love this game Into the Night for other reasons.
It's
so
Into
nice.
the Night. The fascinating thing I think about Into the Night is that it, on top of being set in a cartoony version of an English landscape, which is lovely. Like it's an English, like it feels as though you're playing a cartoony version of an English country landscape, which is already enough to sell it. But it almost feels like a graphic adventure, like an old school graphic adventure in some parts. It is mostly a jump and run, a platformer, but it uses some kind of some mechanics and some storytelling that almost makes it make it feel like a graphics adventure, which is lovely. Yeah, you're definitely right, Kamian. They do all have like they you see that they've been made by the same creator and that they are maybe set in the same world, but they do have very different identities and very dedicated identities. So each of them is worth your time. If you just wanted to check out one, I think the both of us would point you towards the Islands of Adventure first because it's just so lovely and it's mind-boggling that it's so old in relative terms, but also still so very impressive and so very relevant.
Yeah, definitely. So,
And Egil,
as a kind of
thank you for. Sorry, but Egil just said they'll have to head off. Egil, thanks for checking out the stream. Feel free to check out the rest of the VOD later. It'll be here on Twitch and also on YouTube. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for discussing with us, and feel free to check out anything you might have missed later in the video.
So that being said, as a kind of dessert, we also have something else that's left for the stream, right? And this is a game that you introduced me to, that I didn't know before, and that you liked for quite similar reasons, I think, as we just highlighted in regards to Islands of Adventure. But maybe you can just give us a quick backstory of how you came to this game and what your experience with it was.
Yes, look, this is Nick, Nora, and the Secret of the Pirate Island, and Kamian is the truth would be he's being very very generous about it, but the truth is that I kept dragging him kicking and streaming towards this game because I'm so in love with it. Basically, this is very similar to Islands of Adventure in many ways because you have an island, you're exploring an island. This is also what you could call a Q2C platformer. And it is also a fairly old creation by this point. Like I think it was also released in 2020 by fellow Dreams creator Konsolenquaeler, who also made it for children in their environment, for the children of a friend, if I remember correctly. So I think you'll be seeing lots of stuff that seem familiar from the Islands of Adventure. The reason why I definitely wanted to feature it on the stream today is it makes a brilliant companion piece to the other game we showed you, and the second thing is that I think it's a masterclass in art direction. If I remember correctly, Konsolenquaeler is a designer by trade. And I would argue that this definitely shows in the world they've created. So let's take a look.
All right, let's do that.
On the high seas, grumpy pirates capture the small ship of Nick and his sister Nora. After a wild brawl, the pirates overwhelm Nick's strong resistance, set him down on a small boat in the middle of the wide sea, and drag Nora to a secret pirate island shrouded in fog. But Nick doesn't give up. Wildly determined, he rows after the pirate gang with his last strength to free Nora. Arriving at the beach of the pirate island, he immediately sets off in pursuit of his sister, in search of his little sister. And there's Nick.
And again, we are stranded. And again, It's an island world. And again, it's beautifully done, but also kind of different. So the lighting, I think, is something that really stands out for me here. I mean, there's a lot of bloom added and so on, which kind of tends to make things really shiny and nice. But at the same time, it goes so well together with the color palette that is in the assets, and I totally see why you said this is a masterclass in design just by the first look at it here. So you have this kind of distance, this feeling of space in regard to this is a huge island. At the same time, it feels maybe even cozy to a certain extent, because this is a small island here, and yeah, it's so nice to explore.
I mean, look, yeah, there's very much there's an element of a puppet show to it almost. Like your main character is always almost looking like this little puppet. Also, I think even at this early point, it kind of taps into some design tropes for piratey stories, like the statues that you see. Like this kind of the rocks in the distance, the rocky islands in the distance. There's a real sense of this being. I mean, personally, I think it has almost an element of Monkey Island to it, right? Like the design, the kind of design you would see in the Monkey Island series. Also, what it has in common with Islands of Adventure, as you can see here, we go through different biomes at a breakneck speed. And at the same time, Konsolenquaeler, like SgtHamster, just like SgtHamster, uses all kinds of community assets or MM assets, combining them with their own unique creations, but really managing to make it all look like one fully realized place. Like it still manages to seem well directed, well assembled. It's not just an asset flip, but it's really a fully realized world. And this is something where it actually differs from Islands of Adventure. All of this game is just one scene. So where Islands of Adventure gave us 3 or 4 different scenes, this is really all just happening inside the very same scene in Dreams, which blows my mind, given the way how well everything has been put together. Camion, can you instead of going up there? Oh no, that's all right. Go up there. This is just for the collectible. Because there's this little beach you can go to if you follow the same path again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then.
I tried to follow it.
Yeah, this is.
But that's okay.
I think it's through the next cave. I think I warned you too early.
I just was impacted by the collectible bug again.
Yes, of course. And in this case, and rightly so, because in this case, in this game, you actually have to go for all the collectibles. Like there are 20 or 30 or so of them, and you can only finish the game if you find them all. One thing that's really nice is these little red X's that you can find that suggest buried treasure. They are in fact used to create very cool little vignettes, very cool little camera moments, like this here, where you can see an entire a mural. Somebody left all these little drawings here on the wall. So it really makes sense to look for them because they just show off more of the very cool world.
So this is the beach you were looking for?
Yes, because I just wanted to make sure that we got to see this, because like with Islands of Adventure, it's a fairly small world, yes, but it's so dense and so interwoven and so full of little passages and nooks and crannies that it ends up feeling significantly bigger than it actually is, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. And again, these small peaks back to where we were earlier, I think are so nicely done. I like these little touches a lot. And again, the lighting is really exceptional.
And look, this little, I don't know, it almost looks like a little village up there, like these little houses or pods or huts or whatever they are. This is only there for the set dressing, right? This is really just to give you an idea that something's going on there. That's the way the world. You almost want to wonder who lives there or who made these, which is, I think, it's such a cool way of setting up a world that feels bigger than it actually is. This is also nice. In regular places you get a little sign saying how many collectibles you should have found by now. So under normal circumstances, this probably wouldn't be necessary, but seeing how you really need to have all of the collectibles for the game to be completed, I think this is a nice bit of quality of life to give players that indication that they still have to find something. Oh, Thyan, hey, good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, there's another one of those little X's, and this one does something pretty cool.
Such a nice touch to basically give a kind of mermaid backstory here. All the tropes are in there, pirate tropes, right?
Yes. I mean, look, yeah, he's basically checking them all off one by one. But look, this is where the whole thing really opens up, right? So up till now we've been on a fairly linear path, but now we go to this little mountain meadow here. And this is where the world's your oyster, and you can basically head in any direction you want. And I think this was where the game really had me, where you just have this massive open space with lots of little nooks and crannies and lots of little areas to check out. And it's a joy just to see and to be in that world, because it has been so lovingly realized and so lovingly created. It's a fairly simple game. Again, it was designed with children in mind, but it's just the strong colors, the bold lighting, the cute elements, the great sound design. This all comes together to really turn it into such a lovely space to explore.
Definitely, yeah.
And one thing I would like to point out as well is, I mean, many creators try to work against the standard flaky Dreams look to some extent, because being able to create realistic scenes in Dreams has become such a mainstream trend, and more power to any creators who do that, right? It's fascinating to see Bad Robo or Ian St. Artist pull off brilliant, fully realized, photorealistic environments. But I love it when creators actually embrace that look instead of working against it. I think there's really something to be said for taking that slightly impressionistic, painterly look and just running with it. It can be used to make some truly stunning locales, and that's definitely true here. This is very much peak Dreams visual design, in my opinion. And like as has been the case with Islands of Adventure, there's always something interesting to see. Like, you have all these little areas off in the distance that really spark your interest and that really draw you in and draw you towards exploring them.
Yeah, I totally understand why you are such a big fan of this game. It's really a joy to play too, and so much to explore, and it also opens up a lot here. It's really interesting. So Obviously, you need to find a way
Like
to lower that bridge that I saw earlier, and there certainly
you
is
can
some kind
even
of lever here.
go back to that waterfall back in the distance, because
Mhm.
that is really something. Yeah, just follow the little river. You'll get there automatically. Because obviously there is something behind that waterfall, as we should all have learned by now. And what I really love is that if you go behind here, this is actually the title screen. Like this is the little environment right behind you with the chest and the. This is what we saw. Yeah, now you have created the exact shot we have had for the title screen.
Nice.
And I think that's so neat that this is just in the world waiting out for you to be discovered. Also, I love the way they did the water. Like I'm trying to piece that together, and it works so well, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And Thyan says, see what you can do with those ancient sets. Yes, but like I said earlier, this is such a brilliant blend of using media molecule assets and community assets and stock creations and stuff they created themselves. And the beauty is really in editing it all together in a way that it feels like a fully realized space and not just like some kind of asset flip. Oh, I wonder if this does anything. It's been so long since I played with it.
I'm wondering the same. That's why I'm trying it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's so great. No, I definitely agree. So, oh, it's also turning around here. As we said
yeah.
earlier, I mean, it's completely right. It's using some of the assets that were provided in regard to the ancient sets, but at the same time, the way they are combined and recombined, reorganized to really create this world is so nicely done and so nice composed. So I think this is what this really tells us, right? So these assets that we have at our disposal or that the community creates are really great tools. But then it's also about how you basically apply those tools, how you put them together to form your own idea of what you want to achieve with them.
I think what this all comes back to, and what we keep coming back to in the series as well, is vision, right? That's the one thing that really shows through, that will really show through in any creation. If there's a unifying underlying vision the creator had, and I think all the best creations in Dreams have that. All the best games, all the best pieces of art in Dreams have that. If somebody had a strong vision of what they wanted to achieve and a strong idea of the story they wanted to tell and of the world they wanted to create, that will always end up turning into something wonderful and into something impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said when we talked about Islands of Adventure, if that vision is there, if that sense of place is there, if that if that core idea of wanting to create a world is there, that will usually carry you right across the dodgier moments, because it's just a joy to be in this world. And who cares whether the platforming could be better, or who cares whether I recognize community assets off there in the distance. It's just a beautiful space to inhabit and a beautiful place to be in.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, of course, it's awesome if the gameplay itself is also top notch. If you can manage both things at once, all the better.
And I think that's a perfect segue. we won't. I think disclose what game we'll play next. I think this is some kind of
Yes.
surprise we want to keep, but we can tease it to a certain extent and say it will be completely different in regards to what we just discussed. It's a more complex game, a more complex approach with lots of gameplay features and lots of opportunities to really explore not only but also use these gameplay contexts.
Yeah, totally. It'll be incredibly complex, incredibly well realized as well. Also, very strong when speaking from an angle of art direction. And one thing, without wanting to give too much away, but one thing that will also be very different from the things we have shown up to now. It won't be an older creation. It'll be new. It'll be much newer than the things we've chosen to show off so far. We still feel we really, really want to feature it and devote an episode to it, because just as we are trying to drum up support and attention for older creations, we are also very interested in making sure that stuff we think is brilliant gets the attention it deserves at launch. So this is not a departure from our mission, but on the contrary, very much a continuation of it, albeit in a different way. But I think I can speak for the both of us when I say we are already quite excited for the next episode and for the next thing we'll showing you. And you can definitely look forward to that, because it'll be grand. I'm pretty sure it'll be grand.
Yeah, it will be really great. And as you said, and I want to underline that, the next thing we show will also be something that, while it is new, is criminally underplayed. And we really hope to open the path for more people to discover this game. And so I think these are enough hints. Maybe
definitely
the people behind the game, or the guy behind the game.
Maybe hopefully the creator will have heard those words, and maybe they have an idea of who we were referring to, but we'll just leave it at that.
Exactly. So any last words for today, Schreppy?
I mean, look, this is only episode 2, but I'm always having a great time doing this, because it's such a lovely way of rediscovering stuff and of checking whether it still holds up, and then discovering that yes, it does still hold up. And I think whether the projects are newer or older, all of this just compounds to my sense that people who go through the trouble of making involved, detailed, long Dreams creations really, really, really deserve more attention and really deserve more plays, more thumbs up, more people interacting with their worlds, and that is what we are trying to provide here, and what we would love to provide in the future going forward. And so I'll be updating this collection for you to check out. Hey, Red Saikatsu, you've just arrived in time for the finishing line. I fear. Another example of a great creator, by the way, and I am always keeping one eye on that Paper Mario inspired red game of yours. I hope you know that. I'll be updating that collection just now. So please go right ahead and check out the fantastic content from last episode, Godsly and Scale. Please take the time to check out the Islands of Adventure and Nick, Nora, and the Secret of the Pirate Islands. All of those are fantastic creations. We'll have the VOD vision of the stream up as soon as possible, and we are definitely looking forward like crazy to our next episode. We'll keep you posted. We'll keep you informed on social media. So please look forward to that as well. And thank you for coming by. Thank you for checking out these old chestnuts with us. And hopefully you'll be there for the next episode as well. And with that, I say, let's go back to the surface and see you in the Dreamiverse. And until next time.
Yeah, see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for really diving into this with us, together with us. And yeah, we just hope that this series will go on for a few episodes. There's certainly a lot of stuff to show, and I think we just scratched the very surface of some of the really nice gems we can find in Dreams. And with that, see you next time. We'll keep you informed. Have a nice day, evening, wherever you are, and yeah, see you soon.
Yeah, bye.